Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for all coming on. Welcome to all my replay viewers. Thanks guys so much for joining me today. If this is your first time with me, welcome. My name is Keely. I'm the owner of LoveHypAdventure.com, a blog about the marriage relationship, intimacy in marriage, how you can have a closer relationship with your spouse, and general lifestyle posts. Right now, you guys are looking at some origami from my son. One of my sons is super amazing at these little origami guys, and I'm actually doing the scope down here in his room today. And I want to talk to you guys about when you feel like you're being too loud while having sex, what do you do? And oh no, my kids may hear me. So I'm going to flip my camera around so I can talk with you guys better. Hi, welcome if this is your first time. And I might have to walk around a little bit to get the angles right because it's really bright in here. Let me see if I can fix this. Welcome to those who are coming on. Again, my name is Keely if you missed my introduction. And today I am going to be talking about what to do when you are feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm being super loud while having sex. What if my kids can hear me? What do I do? Is there anything I can do to keep myself? Good morning, Michelle. Thanks so much for coming on. Is there anything that I can do to keep my kids from hearing me? What happens if they hear me? What should I do about that? And man, this is a huge, sorry, I'm trying to like stack some things so I can get the right angle on my camera. This is a huge concern for a lot of people because, hey, you got kids in the home and I don't know how to make it so that that thing doesn't shine me. I guess I'm just going to have a glow today. So I think that a lot of people, you have kids in the home, maybe they're younger, maybe they're even teenagers, and you're asking yourself, okay, what do I do? Okay, my bed squeaks a little bit, or maybe I just get kind of loud. I feel like every move we make in our room, our kids are going to know what's up. They're going to know what's happening between us. And I am feeling very self-conscious about that. So what do I do? So let me give you guys a little bit of a background story. For myself, I actually am a very light sleeper and always dealt with insomnia most of my life. And even as a kid, I can remember just being awake for no apparent reason. I'm just awake in the middle of the night. So when I was growing up, my bedroom was right next to my parents' bedroom. And I am fully aware that they had sex. They are a great couple. They love each other. And I know now as an adult that they were definitely not, abstaining because they were scared that I would hear them. And let me tell you something, I never heard them. And I'm a very light sleeper. I've always dealt with insomnia, but I never heard my parents when I was a kid living next door to them. Also, the other thing is that when I became a teenager, I moved upstairs. And again, I was up later, and obviously I was going to bed after they were and that sort of thing. I may have heard them once or twice, maybe. I knew what sex was. I knew what was going on. I knew that they had sex. I wasn't trying to listen. On a rare occasion, I know maybe once or twice. However, you know what? It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. So as a kid, when I was younger, I didn't hear them. When you would have thought I would, given the fact that I so easily wake up to things. But I think that people that deal with insomnia, the first couple of hours of sleep are probably their best. And if they're even going to wake up, it's not going to be till middle of the night. So when you put your kids to sleep, for that first couple of hours, that's going to be the most tired that they are, and they are going to sleep more soundly. If you're dealing with teenagers in your house and you're like, okay, well, what if my teenagers hear me? Can I just tell you that it was actually pretty comforting to me to know that my parents had a physical life with one another? It wasn't weird in my home. My parents kissed in front of me, and they hugged each other, and they were open and saying that sex was great, sex was for marriage, it was something that God gave us. So if I heard them, that wouldn't have been weird to me, because I would have thought that's just normal, that's what we do. So I wouldn't have ever told them, I heard you guys last night or something, but it's just normal. It's something that happens, and I certainly didn't feel weird about it. If your kids do hear you, I say all that to tell you that you're not going to screw them up, all right? It's probably actually going to be very beneficial to them to know that their parents are sexually engaged with one another and that they love to be with one another. Second of all, if it is making you super self-conscious, and I get this, okay, because when you are feeling self-conscious while having sex with your spouse, it is going to make you feel less adventurous. You're not going to give as much. You're going to feel reserved and held back because you're like, I feel self-conscious, whether it's I feel worried that someone's going to hear me, or maybe I'm feeling self-conscious about my body, or whatever. It will keep you from being as free. And so I think you do need to deal with that self-conscious feeling that you have that, oh no, what if my kid's here? So what you can do is, first of all, make sure your kids are asleep. Just peek in on them. If they are asleep, then you're going to know they aren't going to hear you right now. And chances are you're not going to wake them up. So just peek in on them. Put your mind at rest. Are my kids asleep? I don't know. If they're teenagers, knock on their door. See if their light's out. If their light's out, the chances are they're headed to sleep. So kind of gauge where that is. If your child isn't asleep, or your teenagers or whatever, if they're not asleep and you want to have sex and you're like, oh, I'm so worried about them hearing us, then consider having sex somewhere else. A lot of houses are built with bathrooms inside the bedrooms now, so they've got like a suite. Consider going in your bathroom and spending time together in there. Of course, you're going to have to get creative in your bathroom because you're either going to have to stand up, use chairs, or something like that. So you can put yourself, some more added barriers between you and your kids. Another thing you can do is play soft music. And if the soft music is playing and your kids hear soft music or whatever you're playing, it will kind of muffle that a little bit. If you have a television, which I don't have a television in my room, so that wouldn't work for me, cut your TV on. And it might help muffle some of those noises. Your kids are going to think, oh, that was the TV. So you can try and mask those sounds a little bit with music or your television. You can get into an inner room if you've got a bathroom or a closet or something like that inside of your room, like a walk-in closet. You can do that if you're that self-conscious about it. Now, am I saying that's what you need to do every time you have sex because you're scared that your kids are going to hear you? No. What I am saying, though, is that you need to be comfortable being with your spouse, whether your kids hear you or not. And if there is a day when you are feeling like, okay, I'm probably going to be a little bit louder today and I really want to cut loose, then go into another room. And also, if you are that self-conscious about it and struggling that much with it, then it's really important that you find someone who will take your kids overnight. Weekly sleepovers, monthly sleepovers, whatever. Find a way to go somewhere or be in your home alone where you can have sex and let go on it. That's really important. And I don't know if every week is necessarily reasonable, but as often as possible, maybe once a month or something. If you can send your kids to a friend's house to spend the night or a parent's house or something like that, then do it. And you and your spouse have a date and then come home and spend time together. It's really important that you find ways to let yourself go with your spouse. And yeah, sometimes sex does have to be a little bit more reserved. Somebody says even to take them for 2 hours on Saturday afternoon. So yeah, if you can get a day sitter or maybe even an evening sitter where you send them over to someone's house and you just come back and have sex. I personally don't really struggle with this because my bedroom is on the other end of the house from my kids. Also, if they are watching TV, which is right outside of my bedroom, and we decide to have sex while they're watching TV, look, they are not going to hear us. They are so engrossed in the television, they will not hear us. We can talk to them all day. They are not going to be at all questioning, what is mom doing and mom and dad doing in the bedroom right over here? So I don't really deal with this all that much. Also because of my own perspective growing up, knowing that it's just normal. You expect your parents to do that. It's just as much as something you expect them to do as hugging each other or kissing each other or talking to each other on the phone. That's part of a relationship, so that wasn't ever weird to me, and that may help you. If you are feeling super reserved about, your kids being aware of you guys having sex, I would really encourage you to reconsider that, because your kids need to know that you're having sex. Because here's what your kids are being told. Everyone is having sex, except for married people, except for your parents. The whole world, you're so welcome. Someone says they appreciate this. The whole world is telling them that everybody in the world is having sex, except for grown people or married people. Parents, they're not having sex. You quit having sex the moment you get married. That's untrue. There's plenty of us that have waited until we got married to have sex. So if you refuse or feel embarrassed to talk to your children about sex, don't think that you are sheltering them at all. They are getting taught about sex, and they are being taught that kids their own age, somebody says that they have heard older people have more sex when empty nester. I wouldn't know. Maybe there is a survey that says that. I sure hope not. I hope that you are having as much sex now as you do anytime. I hope that you keep on going and that you don't stop, okay? Because it's so important. Well, I think if people are having more sex when their kids leave, it could be just schedules have changed too. Or maybe they did feel really hindered because kids were in the home. I don't know. I'm not an older person. I've got younger kids here in my house. I have no idea, what older people are dealing with. I did talk with a blogger the other day who said that she remembers how hard it was to keep sex as a priority when her kids were young. And I did a scope yesterday and talked to you guys about how just changing my whole mindset about sex, and how I realized that having sex with my spouse was a very grown-up thing to do, and that it was something that I could escape from mommyhood and escape from the housework and whatever else. Just being sexually active with my husband was that escape for me. It's something that has provided me a way to feel like an adult, to feel validated, to feel like, something I get to do in my life is for me, instead of thinking the entire day I spend it running around taking care of other people. This is one point when I get to do something I really enjoy and I don't have to leave the house. So I don't think I've really struggled to keep sex a priority with young kids. It was a little bit more hard when I was getting up a couple of times a night, and so we had to get really creative with schedules and that sort of thing because I was very tired. So I think that we had our periods of time so that we struggled a little bit more to be maybe as regular as we are now that our kids are a little bit older, but my youngest child is still only 4. So I think by the time that they are getting to a point where they can go to bed and stay in bed, I don't really see as why it should be that hard to keep sex a priority. I think when you're putting them in bed and they're getting up every hour, that's a problem. That makes it really hard. But they only stay babies for a short period of time. And even if you have babies back to back, that's only a couple of years. So do the best you can if that is you and you're in that place. So somebody said, did you breastfeed? Because my midwife says it affects things. I did try to breastfeed. I have 3 boys, and I breastfed the first one for 9 months, and the second one for 6, and the third one for 3, but my milk just really dried up, and I did not actually think it affected anything. If anything, I felt probably more excited to be with my husband. I don't know if breastfeeding had anything to do with that. So I think that hormones can be a problem. And somebody says that they have a tough time because of co-sleeping. I'm not a co-sleeper. If you are, that's you, and that's great for you, but I can't sleep if I can hear my child breathing. Okay, remember how I said I've got a lot of insomnia and I'm really light sleeper, so I could not co-sleep. And I even kind of wanted to try doing that with one of my kids because I was so tired, and I just couldn't do it. I would lay awake and be like, oh no, the child, he's moving and he's making noises and things. So some people said that they breastfed for a long time. The comment went away. I'm sorry. Somebody says, do I still have a high drive? Now, I don't know. I guess my drive probably went up, but a lot of that was just my own mind kept me from being as excited as I should have. And being a mom, becoming a mom was so hard for me. It was a really big transition. It was something I always wanted to do. But yeah, it totally changed me. I don't think I was prepared for it. And yeah, I really struggled. And somebody just asked, how do you get over it seeming like a chore? I did a scope on that. And I will have to link up to that on my Love Hope Adventure page. So if you go to lovehopeadventure.com, I don't know if I did a scope on it or a post, but I did. But if you'll go to lovehopeadventure.com/periscope, I'll go find the post and I'll link to that, because I know a lot of people do think sex is like a chore. Oh, I did a scope, and I may have done a post too. I can't remember. So if you go to my catch.me/lovehopeadvent page, you should be able to find a scope. And I could write it down maybe. My son's got paper everywhere. Lovehopeadventure.com is my blog. And you can find my scopes on Catch. If you go to catch.me, and I'll write that down, catch.me, yes, Love Hope Adventure /Love Hope. My name is too big, so now I'm going to have to put it on a separate line. Sorry. Can you read this? Catch.me/Love Hope Advent. And my website is called lovehopeadventure.com. And I did talk about how to get over sex feeling like a chore, what causes us to feel that way, and how to combat some of that. Because there was a time when I did feel like sex was a chore, and I changed my mindset, and then I realized what a privilege it was for me, and really was able to give myself into it. And I feel like my drive probably shot up some after my third child, because we were done having children. And I got my tubes tied because it would be really bad for me to have any more babies. And I went that route so that I don't have that problem, because physically that wouldn't be good for me. And I can tell you that I know for sure after I was done having babies, my desire for sex definitely went up. I don't know why. I don't know if it was hormones. I don't know if it was a mindset. I don't know if I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm free from babies now, because I struggle with babies. I don't do well with the baby phase. I like my children older and more independent, and so I've really enjoyed that. So maybe there was just some freedom in it, or possibly it was we're not having sex to procreate anymore, so we just took that totally off the table, and sex was just for us, not so we could have kids. I don't know if that's why. So guys, thanks so much for asking me some of these questions today. I know this turned out to be a little bit more of a squirrely scope and a little bit more of a ask me thing. So if you ever have questions, be sure to put them in here, and I'll try to go back and rewatch the replays so that I can see what you guys were asking that I missed and talk to you guys about that later. And today, actually, this scope was answering our reader's question about this. And on Monday, I plan to talk about another reader's question about finding out that their spouse was dealing with porn, and kind of just give some comfort and some advice to some of you guys who are dealing with that. And somebody just said they worry about their teenagers hearing them. I say let your teenagers hear you. That's me. It's okay. I occasionally heard my parents once or twice, but I'll tell you something, I really didn't hear them that much, but I know that they were sexually active. I do. They told me they were. So I'm surprised I didn't hear them more often. And that's okay, because I thought that was normal and that was great, and it has helped me to just know, hey, sex is what you do in marriage, and that's part of it. And that's actually really helped me in my marriage to have seen that example. If you guys want to ask me questions more privately, you can do that. You can email me at keelie@lovehopeadventure.com. So just Keelie and then my @domainname.com. And then you can also tweet at me. And somebody says they thought it was ew, but at least they liked each other. I don't know if I thought it was ew. And someone asked them if I'm in Virginia. No, I'm in North Carolina. I used to live in Virginia most of my life, and now I'm in North Carolina. And yeah. And somebody says they didn't want to hear it. Look, I'm going to tell you guys something. Your kids are going to see other people having sex. They're going to see it on TV. They're going to see it on Instagram. They're going to see it on YouTube. They're going to find it. It is going to be put in their face whether they want it or not. Let your kids know you're having sex. Just let them know. If they hear you, fine. If they feel embarrassed by that, good. They should be embarrassed by that kind of thing. There are plenty of people out there who are teenagers out there that have watched porn and getting addicted to that and stuff. And if they think their parents having sex is ooh, well, good. You need to be an example for them because, guys, they're getting it. They're getting those examples. And you need to make sure you're one of those influences. So don't feel scared that they hear you having sex or that they know you're having sex. Be loud, be proud about it. Seriously. Because there are so many other people out there that are being loud and proud about it, and your kids are going to see it. So let them know that that's not normal, but what's normal is having sex in marriage. Don't feed into this mindset that it's normal for single people who hardly know each other to have sex, but married people who love one another and are raising families together don't. So guys, really super passionate about that because I know everybody's like, oh, I'm so, I don't want my kids to know. Well, your kids know. They do. Do you think being vocal is important in the sex act? You mean like while you're having sex? Because if so, yes. I do think that if you can be vocal, you don't want to be embarrassed. You don't want to be rude to everyone around you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be rude. But I think if you can be loud, yes, you should be. Like I said, my kids are on the other end of the house from me. So if I get a little loud, not a big deal. Definitely not going to be as loud as if they were gone. So I think that's a great way to spice things up in your marriage. And in your sex life, is just be loud, or not that loud. Not ridiculously loud or something, but vocalize the way you're feeling, because that tells your partner that they love, or that you love what they're doing, and can make you just feel more excited. So yeah, I think it can be important to do that, and if you have the ability to do it, then do it. Don't be shy away on that. Let your spouse know that somebody says thanks for let them hear. Yes, I do. I agree. I think that they should. If I'm not saying get up and try to make your kids hear, just don't. In our society, and maybe this has been culturally forever, parents, guys, don't take a back seat to your kids. You're the head of your home, and you get to have things that you enjoy. You get to do things for you. It doesn't always got to be about your children. Your kids do not always come first. You need to put your marriage above your kids. And I know that is countercultural. And I hear a lot of people say, well, my kids are my everything. No. They can't be your everything. They can be part of your things. But they are going to move out and have their own homes and establish their own families. And goodness, guys, y'all, that's what y'all want. And when they leave, you want to have a marriage. You don't want to have spent your entire time raising kids just to get to the end and you and your husband or your wife break up. Take care of yourselves now. Put yourselves ahead of your kids sometimes. That is actually how healthy relationships work. Sometimes you put others ahead of you, and sometimes you put yourself ahead of others. You've got to pour in yourself and make sure you're healthy so that you can take care of the people in your life. So that's kind of my thoughts. And my mom and dad just made it very clear to me that life is not all about me. It's just not. And that they've got to invest in their marriage. That's what they need to do. So that they've got something left. We want them to. Guys, I've seen people get divorced the minute the kids leave the house, and they think that will be better for the kids. And I'm telling you, from experience, that is not the case. It's not the case. Your parents getting divorced at any age, it does not matter. It is going to severely affect you and the family. I don't care if you live with them or not. So guys, safeguard your marriages. Put yourself first. Put your marriage first in these things. Don't think your kids should rule the roost. They shouldn't. That is just establishing in their minds a really unhealthy relating pattern. And you're their parents, so you've got to teach them healthy ways to relate to each other, how relationships actually work. And relationships can't ever be one-sided. Your kids have got to learn to give to you as much as they have learned to receive from you. So they need to be able to give respect to you, give you what the things that you like and the things you enjoy, and to think about you, and to not only think about themselves. And that's on us as parents to teach our children that. And if that means that your kids have to listen to you have sex and they're like, ew, well, they need to deal with that, because it's your house and you pay the bills and it's your marriage. Really, the list could go on, right? And honestly, it's just teaching your children that they're not the only people in the world, and that their opinions do matter, but they're not the only opinion, or they're not the only thing. You know what I mean? So, I digress. Guys, check me out at lovehoopadventure.com. Tweet at me if you have a question, or you can leave questions here on the scope, or if you want to be more private about it, email me at keelie@lovehoopadventure.com, and I will check you guys out on Monday rather. So you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.